to say God bless the people of Israel. They're under attack right now. That's because we show great weakness. This would not happen. The weakness that we've shown is unbelievable, and it would not have happened if we were in office. You know that. They know that. Everybody knows that. But America prays for Israel. We send our absolute support to everyone in harm's way. This is an attack that would not have happened. We were respected 4 years ago all over the world. Today, we are considered a joke. It's not going to be for long. Believe me, it's not going to be for long.
Former President Donald Trump firmly sharing how America stands with Israel despite Iran's latest attack with missiles and drones. He continued to call Biden the worst president in our nation's history, and his weakness on the world stage is becoming more clear as this conflict continues to grow. So let's discuss further with distinguished professor at Touro University and Newsmax contributor Thane Rosenbaum. And also with us is the host of the Josh Hammer Show, Josh Hammer. Thank you both for being here. Thane, let's start with you. You heard President Trump there discuss how weak America has become under Joe Biden's lack of leadership. Is it becoming more evident, though, as we're starting to see this happen here, Israel now getting attacked by Iran? This is becoming a very dangerous situation.
Yes, John, but I would say that, look, it was great to see that the United States participated in shooting down some of that weapons from yesterday. But we're hearing now that the President Biden is suggesting that Israel just back off and call it a win. And I don't see this as a win in that way. 300 missiles were fired at Israeli civilian population centers. This was a major aggressive attack. This was a declaration of war. The fact that the air defense systems worked, John, that's great to hear, but they might not have worked. And this was beyond a proportionate response. This went well beyond that. I just think this is an invitation for the Israelis to say, Hamas is Iran, Iran is Hamas. It's great that the United States wants to work with the United States Nations Security Council today, but let's see what they do. They've never been supportive of Israel in the past. What is Joe Biden saying? Is he going to increase the aid package to Israel? Is he going to oppose this unilateral ceasefire? Are we going to demand for the return of the hostages? If you're not, unleash the Israelis and let them do what any other nation would do after receiving 300 ballistic missiles and 200 other projectiles at their major civilian population centers.
It's a great point. And that is the big question is, will this turn into a wider scale war? John Kirby, United States National Security Council coordinator, he was on Meet the Press this morning. Watch this soundbite. This is what he had to say about a wider scale war.
I don't think there's any reason that it needs to. And
but has it? Are we now in the midst of a wider war?
The president doesn't believe that it needs to move in that direction whatsoever, Kristen. What Israel demonstrated last night was an incredible ability to defend itself. Just their own military superiority was quite remarkable yesterday.
So they got the help, Josh, here from other countries to knock down some of those drones and explosives coming towards Israel. But there is that concern. If Israel does act here, there's the potential that this could be a bigger Middle Eastern war. Thoughts?
Look, I think what Thane said is totally correct. I mean, in any historical understanding of international law, what just happened yesterday would be a casus belli, which is an act of war. And, you might kind of shrug your shoulders and say, oh, the Islamic Republic of Iran has been in a state of war, whether it's formally declared or not, against Israel, against the United States, for that matter, against the broader West, ever since the horrific Mullah regime took power in the coup d'etat in 1979. And that would be correct. But I can't underscore enough just how much this is a crossing of a Rubicon. So for the past roughly 45 years-ish, the Islamic Republic has attacked Israel, has attacked America, whether it's the U.S. troops in Beirut, Lebanon, whether it's the Argentinian explosion back in 1994, which, by the way, an Argentinian court on Friday just actually found that Iran was directly culpable for that for the first time. They did all this previously through proxies, whether it's Hezbollah, whether it's Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq, or various other proxies. This is the first time they have launched an unambiguous attack from Iranian soil itself. And, Israel's going to have to do something. They're not going to be able to just sit back and take it no matter what Joe Biden says. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have to attack inside of Iran itself, although I think that's certainly not off the table. The big question right now is, are the nuclear sites going to be targeted? Personally, I think one other option would be to just really kind of up the ante with Hezbollah in Lebanon to really kind of make further incursions into Beirut when it comes to Hezbollah-controlled assets there deep in the heart of Lebanon. But I think everything is on the table right now because no first world country can just sit there and take it when you have hundreds and hundreds of drones and missiles threatening your very sovereignty.
And Thane, the other part of this, too, is when Iran did this, they violated the airspace of Arab countries. You had Jordan get involved. You had Saudi Arabia get involved and shoot some of these missiles down. Iran is really playing with, maybe getting support from these other countries in another way. I mean, if they're violating their airspace, are we going to see more allies kind of jump in here?
I'm sure Josh and I are very much in agreement on this. This is a good sign. Remember, before October 7th, Israel already has a longstanding peace treaty with Jordan. Now there was normalization talks with Saudi Arabia. It's just what just happened. October 7th was designed to break those new bonds. But the fact that you're seeing Saudi Arabia and Jordan also saying, everyone knows in the region, Iran is a menace. And no one wants Iran. Everyone was one of the reasons they wanted to normalize ties with Israel was because Israel's so good at defending itself. And they wanted to know that Israel, are you going to be with us in taking out Iran? So again, I'm curious what Josh thinks, but I think the fact that Jordanians were knocking missiles out of the sky as if to say, this is exactly the problem. This is why they can't allow the Iranians nuclear weapons, because they're the only ones talking about wiping Israel off the map. The other Arab nations are saying it's time to normalize ties and gain benefit from Israel's prosperity and sit back and watch it be able to defend itself, not to support Iran and not to support Hamas.
And Josh, we're now hearing from even Russia has said that they would like to see a de-escalation here. You've got many of the other countries that are saying the same thing. Egypt is also saying the same thing. Do you think that both of these countries will heed those warnings?
I don't know, because like I was just saying a few minutes ago, I mean, no country can just take what happened last night and not respond. So just to kind of lay out what happened here, Israel, they haven't openly admitted it, but everyone highly suspects that they took out the IRGC general in Damascus, Syria, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. An IRGC commander who has blood on his hands, by the way, also has American blood on his hands. I cannot underscore this point enough. The commander that Israel allegedly took out in Damascus was the one who presumably gave the go-ahead order to kill the U.S. troops at Tower 22 in Jordan in late January. But that was not technically a diplomatic facility. It was in a building that was cloaked as a consulate adjacent facility. And again, an IRGC commander is a legitimate military target in a situation like this. That is orders of magnitude removed from what happened yesterday. Hundreds and hundreds of drones and missiles. So the Iranian regime has demonstrably and unequivocally upped the ante here. And again, I don't think that Israel can just sit back and take it. I want to just underscore the one thing that I think Thane said, which is totally correct here. The fact that the Saudis were involved here yesterday in assisting the Israelis to take down these drones and missiles, I find that to be an extraordinarily auspicious sign. And now Saudi Arabia was apparently very close to actually joining the Abraham Accords at the very tail end of the Trump administration. What I heard from sources in the administration was that they basically just ran out of time, but it was going to be a done deal in the first 6 months of Trump's second term. God willing, he'll get that chance and they'll join there. But I found that to be extraordinarily encouraging for the future.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you both coming on. Thane, Josh, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.